Okay.
Okay, all right. So good morning, guys. We are here talking. We have Sarah Brenner here this morning, and she's just going to kind of share with us a little bit about how she did. She homeschools her kids. She's homeschooled for a few years. I'm going to let her do an introduction for herself, but how she got her kids as homeschool students to be able to participate in an APS school sport. Okay. Now, before she gets started, I do want to make sure we just make it extremely clear that this process is pre-COVID. And so it could very well be different. It could very well have very different implications across the board. And this is specifically also for APS. So each school each school district is going to be different. And so you will have to look into the policies and procedures for your school district, but this is how it goes on a normal day pre-COVID for APS. Take it away, Sarah. It's all you.
Well, my son, he wanted to play soccer. So he started last year and he played for Cibola High School. And we went down to, I took my packet of things because I didn't know what I needed. And because he's never been in part of the school system in any way, shape, or form, I had a feeling they were going to need all the nitty gritty details. So I'd already heard from the grapevine that he needed a physical. So I'd already had the paperwork set for that. And so when I brought that, and of course, like his, birth certificate, social security card, all of the things that I keep in like a file for each kid, I just brought everything with me because I didn't know what I was going to need. And everything was very fluid after that. So I went into the student services. They sent me over to the nurse to check vaccination, details, back over to the other one. So once one signs off on the other, it was all handled in one afternoon. It was pretty much just like whatever you needed to do to get your son a student ID. That was the focus.
Okay. So my question, and we have quite a few people asking this on some of the Facebook pages as well, is when you registered as a homeschool, or sorry, not registered, when you notified the state that you were going to be a homeschool family, did you sign up at that time for your kids to have a star ID? That's one of the options on the notification process. Do you remember if you did that?
I did. And I think that we already knew because he had already been hinting that he wanted to get back into soccer. And so when I looked into what that checking that box meant, I just was like, well, if I don't check it, then it might be harder for him to get involved. So we went ahead and checked it regardless of whether or not he decided to play or not.
Okay, perfect. And I think I've heard from a few other families. I'm recording this. I've heard from a few other families too that when they've registered, the life of kids. Can you hear my ice machine in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, can you stop getting ice for a second, please? Okay. So I've heard from other families that as they've registered, they did not get the star ID. And I don't think that's a cut and dry thing. I think if you don't click it on the box on the notification form, that it's not like it's a done deal. You can go back and you can get that star ID later so that your kids can participate in sports at the local school. And I think we've made it really clear, but I'm going to make it even more clear by saying it again, is that in participating at a sport, it does have to be a sport at the school that you're zoned for. So like if your child went to, for instance, my oldest was going to a charter school, it wouldn't necessarily mean that they would allow him to play sports at that charter school. It would mean that we would have to go to the school that we're physically zoned for within our district, which is also APS, and register at that school. So I know that's a key element as well. Is there anything else that you feel like would be pertinent for families to know? So we're talking, you brought your birth certificate, you brought your social security card. I would imagine bringing like proof of address, right? Because when you go register.
They did ask for proof of address. You're totally right. And I think I just, what was it I brought? I think it was like just a utility bill.
Yeah. And I think the only key if you're going to do utility bill is that it's not water, because water bill comes in your, like, the name is your current owner. So they want to make sure that they see your name and the physical address on that utility bill. Sometimes they ask for two. So I would take two proofs of address if you can. That way you don't have to bring it back later, or you know, not have exactly what you need. And then once you did that registration process at the school, you just, I'm assuming they just told you when tryouts were and he was able to go try out?
Yeah, we actually cut it really close. So the tryouts were, I think, like the next day or something.
Okay.
And I just remember sitting down with this woman and explained to her the situation, and the counselors in there, if you get them one-on-one, and they'll take the time with you, and they can pretty much work magic in there, but you have to like have all your paperwork in front of you. The delay will be if you don't have your paperwork, because they're all about, you know, the details and the documents.
Perfect.
So for the checklist going down, if you have everything, they can move really quickly and things can happen in just the window that you're there. Cool. But if you're short, then you got to come back and and try get an appointment with her again, and, you know, present it again.
Right, start the whole thing again. So at no point in time you had to contact the district office, correct? You just went straight to the school that you're zoned for?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it was as though I was registering him for classes. Okay. It was everything that I would do if he wanted to start at school. It was everything short of just picking up classes for him, is what that looked like.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. Well, that's super simple. Thank you for taking some time to share with us. I'm going to share it out to everybody. Everybody has the question, and this just saves us a little bit of time. We can just share a video out and let everybody take a peek and learn a little bit. So yeah, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. And we will share, if I can find any links or anything like that that I feel are pertinent, we'll add them to our YouTube video description, and we'll make sure everybody has all the information that they need. But again, pre-COVID information, strictly APS schools. You'll have to check with your district if you're out of Albuquerque Public Schools. Right. All right. Thanks, Sarah. Have a good rest of your morning.
You too. Bye.
Bye.